Good Saturday evening, and thank you for choosing THV 11 tonight. I'm Brooke Buckner with meteorologist Simone Thomas. Now, Simone, we've had some tornado watches in some parts of the state tonight. Are we in the clear now, or what are you tracking at this point in time?
Well, the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center are going to allow that tornado watch to expire here at 10. And we just had a severe thunderstorm warning in Ouachita County that expired at 10 as well. But we are still paying attention to some of these storms in south central Arkansas. Now, what I want to do right quick is pause this because there is this storm along that Clark and Dallas County border that had a little spin to it within the past 20 minutes or so. Now, right now, it's not showing as impressive spin as it was a moment ago. Again, this is at the Clark and Dallas County border. Now, a few scans ago, this was a bit more concerning. Right now, not as concerning. And then the fact that we have been allowed to expire that tornado watch is also good news, but there is still the concern for severe weather as these storms move further east. We do still have that marginal risk or level 1 risk for some of central and south central Arkansas, kind of along the line of where these storms are shaping up right now. So this will continue to be something that we'll be tracking at least through midnight. Some of that rain likely going to move here into the capital city overnight, and we'll see those cloudy conditions prevailing as well. I'll talk more about the rest of the evening and what you need to know as you get ready for your work week and that 11-day outlook.
Thank you, Simone. Federal offices in central Arkansas are extending hours for anyone looking to grab their real ID with the deadline less than 2 weeks away now. Starting May 7th, anyone traveling by plane or entering a federal building will need the new ID or an acceptable alternative like a U.S. passport. THV 11's Maya Ellison was at the Little Rock Revenue Office to get a closer look at the process.
A busy Saturday for the Little Rock Revenue Office.
And they opened up a whole new area for us so that we could be out quickly.
It was really easy today. I was expecting it to be like chaotic, long lines. It was easy.
The Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration announced Tuesday that 5 locations across central Arkansas would extend hours on Saturday, accommodating for anyone in need of a real ID.
This goes all the way back to 2005. Congress passed the Real ID Act. So it was just a way for all states to have the same required documentation.
ADFA spokesperson Scott Hardin says offices opened at 8 a.m.
Already we're pushing 1,000 issued at just 5 offices.
That number growing by the minute.
We have about 900,000 Arkansans with a Real ID as of right now, but we have 2 million with what we would say is a regular license.
If you'll pull a number and go to the right. Before you walk through the doors, there are a few must-have items you need.
Your birth certificate or passport, one or the other to prove your legal presence here. You're going to have to prove your residency. That's a couple of utility bills in your name. And this is the one thing that's getting people stuck. Your social security card.
Without it, you are unable to get your real ID. But many Arkansans were already aware, like Lee Cossack, who was relieved at the overall experience Saturday morning.
You have to have it to go on an airplane. And so I spent yesterday trying to get some of my paperwork together, so I was pretty knowledgeable about it already.
Others like Demarius Nelson followed mom's orders to grab his.
I was coming from work and my mama had just told me that I need to get a real ID, so I just followed along.
Both Nelson and Cossack tell me the process was fairly easy, right as you walk to the desk.
Have your documents that are needed this morning.
So they've designed this system where you walk in, people greet you, they ask what you have, if you have an appointment, and then they route you to the right place.
All that's left is the final step. Just make sure you are picture ready.
2 and 3.
We want to get you in here, get you your real ID, and let you go on about your day.
In Little Rock, Maya Ellison, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Maya. Hardin says after the May 7th deadline, you will still be able to visit a revenue office in the state, and there could be another extended day next weekend. You can find additional information on our website, thv11.com. Pope Francis has been laid to rest after a day that brought so many together in a packed St. Peter's Square. The huge funeral and procession through the crowd-lined streets of Rome was followed by a humble burial. Tony Aiello has the latest from the Vatican.
Many of the faithful called him the People's Pope, and 250,000 turned out Saturday in St. Peter's Square to say farewell to Pope Francis. The funeral mass drew dozens of world leaders, with Francis's simple coffin at the center and a message that emphasized his service to the poor and marginalized.
Oh, he's the most humblest person I've ever met. I've ever known. I mean, the simplicity and the way he shepherds all the people.
Following the funeral, tens of thousands lined the route to see the Pope's coffin carried through the streets of Rome to St. Mary Major, where Francis chose to be buried. It's a church he came to pray in often. Onlookers were visibly moved.
I have goosebumps.
You're crying a little bit.
Yes, I'm crying. This triggers like a lot of emotion.
What was your feeling when the coffin of the Pope came by?
Thankfulness and a big blessing for the world.
Among the world's estimated 1.4 billion Catholics, many gathered at all hours to watch the funeral broadcast live, including in the Pope's native Argentina, which Francis never visited as Pope, but he's still revered there. Just before the funeral, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump met privately within St. Peter's to discuss Russia's war with Ukraine. After saying goodbye to Francis, many Catholics now thinking about their next leader.
Well, my expectations are a similar type pope, but maybe a tad more conservative for the church.
The cardinals will gather as early as May 6th for the conclave to elect the next pope. Tony Aiello, CBS News, the Vatican.
Pope Francis, at his request, became the first pope in more than 100 years to be buried outside of Vatican City. He also requested a very simple tomb with just one word on it, Franciscus. The Conway Police Department providing a big update in the deadly park shooting on April 13th. 2 suspects are now in custody and 2 are wanted by law enforcement. 20-year-old Ryan Goins of Pine Bluff is charged with 11 counts of aggravated assault. But public court records show the 20-year-old had been free on bond after a separate arrest in February in Little Rock. Tyler Ferris from Conway faces 2 counts of capital murder, 1 count of terrorism, and 9 counts of attempted capital murder. And even though there are still suspects on the run, Chief of Police Chris Harris says he is proud of the department's efforts.
I especially want to commend the men and women who were on patrol the night of both shootings. Their swift response and immediate action, applying tourniquets and performing other life-saving measures, undoubtedly made a critical difference.
Police are still looking for Kamari Johnson. He's wanted on 2 counts of capital murder, 1 count of terrorism, and 9 counts of attempted capital murder. They're also looking for his brother, Kedrick Johnson, who is also wanted on those same charges. Police also shared new details on the shooting that happened on UCA's campus last Saturday that injured 1 person. These 3 men are in custody, facing charges of battery and terroristic acts. Police say 4 separate guns fired nearly 30 rounds that night. Investigators are still, however, looking for 1 more person in this incident. Zion Jackson from Ward, Arkansas is still wanted by police. If you have any information about either case, we have the tip line numbers right now on thv11.com. Today was National Drug Takeback Day with more than 100 drop-off locations across the state, and one of those is in Benton. The event gives you the chance to dispose of unused medications, preventing them from falling into the wrong hands. The departments say it's effective for 3 main reasons. Proper disposal saves lives, it's good for the environment, and it's safe, convenient, and anonymous.
I just wanted the public to know that DEA, we are laser focused and working relentless is trying to stop and curb the epidemic on drug poisoning, drug overdosing when it comes to opioid. Opioid still is the #1 killer epidemic in the United States that claim over hundreds of thousands of lives across the country.
No word yet on how much medication was collected today, but back in October, more than 23,000 pounds were collected and safely destroyed. This weekend, one of Arkansas's most treasured landmarks celebrates a milestone that's not just about history, but heritage, community, and courage. First Missionary Baptist Church in Little Rock is turning 180 years old. THV 11's Journey Taylor takes us inside one of the oldest Black congregations around.
At the corner of South Gaines and 7th Street in Little Rock stands more than a church, but a legacy. First Missionary Baptist Church is marking 180 years of faith, resilience, and service. And to those who walk its halls, it's more than a building. For lifetime member and trustee Renee Hubbard, it's a home filled with memories and a powerful call to remember the past as we build for the future.
I got a lot of memories. And when you have a lot of memories, especially of folks whose shoulders you now stand on who are no longer here, then you feel all of this and sometimes sadness because they're no longer with us. But look at what they left us.
The church's story began in 1845 when an enslaved man named Wilson Brown asked his enslaver for permission to start a church. Member of the Deaconess Board and former state senator Linda Chesterfield says, in the throes of slavery, it was unheard of.
And then for an enslaver to say yes, it's just very special.
The sanctuary, later built in 1882 by formerly enslaved craftsmen, still stands. But its stained glass, woodwork, and roof need preservation, something this weekend's gala and services aim to support.
It ought to matter to every person in this community, in this state, in this nation, that we preserve this place.
Preservation isn't just about structure, it's about protecting the scarce moments. In 1963, weeks after being jailed in Birmingham, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. came to preach at First Missionary's 118th anniversary. King was actually a college alum, friends and civil rights activists with the pastor of the church.
Dr. King came to First Missionary Baptist Church because of his connection with our pastor, Dr. Roland Smith. The sanctuary was full, inside and outside. People were along the windows because we had the windows up so that they could just hear any morsel of what was going on. They wanted to hear that. They wanted to know what was going on in here.
King's presence was so powerful, Hubbard says, that the room swelled as he came in. She called the moment magical. She was only 13 years old on that day.
He had on the blackest suit I've ever seen. He had on the whitest shirt I've ever seen. And he had the skinniest tie that I've ever seen. I mean, it was just a little bit bigger than a string.
King's sermon, according to Renee, was titled It's Midnight, challenged the community to keep the light of faith burning during dark times. And today, King's legacy, and that of so many others, lives on in the church's continued work in the community.
We've been feeding kids at Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. We've had a pre-K program here. We have fed the homeless here. We've had vaccine drives here. This is still a living, breathing church, which still has a commitment to community.
And with only 14 pastors over 180 years, the thread of tradition here is strong. The message now is simple: preserve it.
The beauty that comes when we remember how great those people who stepped out of slavery were, that they could create an edifice that's still alive today. That's something that should be celebrated by everybody.
UAPB Vice Chancellor George Cotton sitting down with us here at THV 11 with some exciting news as Founders Week is wrapping up. The big announcement he made about the university after the break.
And we are tracking a rainy start to your Sunday with that spotty rain moving out of the state. We'll be talking about what you need to know for the next couple of days coming up after the break.